Okay, so today we are going to be looking at an article. We're all going to be looking at the exact same article, and so we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So if you can open up to page 8, and just tell me a little bit about, what do you see here? What is the title of our story?
Finding His Voice.
Finding His Voice, very good. So who can we kind of guess that the story is going to be about?
About him singing.
A guy, okay, so we think it might be about singing. What else? Jenny Lee, what do you think? Just singing? Okay.
Like he's shy.
Okay, maybe, what made you think that?
By reading the
The subtitle?
the prediction.
Oh, okay, very good. So we read a little bit about he kept silent because of his stuttering. All right, let's turn the page and look at those pictures on the next page and tell me kind of what do you think that those two pictures tell us?
He has a lot of fun.
Okay, so it looks like he has a lot of friends, right? What else? What about that bottom picture?
He
Kylie?
enjoys
Working
young.
with younger kids.
Okay, looks like he's working with somebody who's a little bit younger than him. All right, so now that we've kind of looked through all of our pictures, what do we think that the overall story is going to be about?
About him finding his confidence to speak in front of a crowd.
Okay. Anybody else have different prediction? Do we all kind of think that he's going to kind of find his confidence some way?
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to pass out a vocabulary bookmark, and these are some words that you're going to be a little bit unfamiliar with. And as we read the story, I want you to fill in what you think the definition of that word is going to be. So I'm going to start out by reading the words that we're going to come across. So unthinkable, disorder, inherited, humiliated, and cope. So as we read the story, I want you guys to look through the context clues. What do I mean by when I say context clues?
Like above of the word.
Yeah, so maybe,
Find it.
or the words that are in the sentence that might kind of give us a little bit of a hint to what the word actually might mean, okay? So I'm going to start off by reading, and then we're all going to take turns reading the rest of the story. So on the evening of March 13, 2015, Joe Gija stood backstage at a theater in New York City. Hundreds of people sat waiting in the audience. I was so nervous, he recalled later. The lights dimmed. Joe, 17, stepped out and took his place on stage. It was showtime. Overcoming his stage fright, Joe went on to perform a lead role in a short play. Afterward, he bowed happily with the rest of the cast and audience clapped and cheered. Just a few years ago, the idea of speaking in front of a large audience would have been unthinkable to Joe. Even talking to one person was often terrifying for him. That's because Joe had a speech problem known as stuttering. So what can we think unthinkable means?
That he didn't think about it, like that he wasn't thinking about performing or speaking.
So it was kind of like it never would have happened, right?
Yeah.
He kind of thought that something would never would have happened. So go ahead and write that in your own words in the first part of unthinkable. So it's something that he thought would never happen to him. So something that would be unthinkable to me is me becoming an astronaut, right? I probably wouldn't become an astronaut. I've been going to school to be a teacher, so it probably wouldn't happen for me, right? Could. All right. Joshua, will you read a puzzling problem?
Stuttering is a speech disorder that makes it hard to say words out loud. People who stutter often repeat or stretch out words, or they become silent in the middle of a sentence. The problem is common among young children. Many people outgrow it, but not everyone does. Millions of people stutter. The cause of stuttering are not well understood. Many experts think stuttering may be inherited. They believe some people are born with a higher chance of developing a stutter.
So what is a stutter, Lance?
Just like that.
Yeah, so you kind of like, you may say the same words, you kind of stretch out words, maybe you get stuck on a word, and they think that it might be inherited. So what does it mean by inherited?
Like it stays.
It's passed down to their family.
Okay, so it might be passed down, right? So maybe the parents stuttered, maybe grandparents stuttered, something like that. So it's been inherited by the child. Have you guys ever met anybody that had a stutter?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I stutter like a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of like fumble over our words.
Yeah.
That happens definitely to me a lot. So go ahead and write what you think your definition for
We can get rid of stuff.
disorder, for inherited. I'm sorry?
Can you stop stuttering? Like,
Yeah, there's actually, that's what a speech therapist does, and they work with students to help their stutter. Yeah, they just teach you ways to kind of go around it. Just like if you might say something like different, you know? Yeah, about inherited. And then we're going to talk about disorder. So disorder. So stuttering is a speech disorder that makes it hard to say words out loud. What is disorder?
like
Disorder.
I don't know. Explain.
Okay. So stuttering is a speech disorder that makes it hard to say words
A
out
problem
loud.
with someone's body or mind.
Yeah, so maybe it's a problem with somebody's body or mind. So a disorder can apply to, they're using it in this instance, we're talking about stuttering, right?
So
What's
stuttering-
another disorder?
So stuttering is the problem in the person's mind.
Yeah, exactly. So it might just be that their mind can't process the words quickly enough, so it just makes them elongate them a little bit longer. Okay? Lance, will you read the next one, Scared to Speak?
Joe has been stuttering for as long as he can remember. While he was growing up, it had a big impact on his life. I didn't have a lot of friends, says Joe. He felt too humiliated.
Humiliated. That's a tough one.
To talk to other kids in school. He stayed quiet even if he needed help understanding something.
What does humiliated mean?
Like, you feel embarrassed?
Yeah, so it's when you're embarrassed. Have you guys ever been humiliated?
A
Yeah.
lot.
Maybe a
In
little
elementary.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens. I think I was doing like a play one time, and I like tripped on stage, and I was so scared. And of course, it was like in front of everybody, so I was a little bit humiliated for that. But it was when I was a lot younger. Huh?
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a big humiliation. Okay, so humiliated is when it could just be another word for embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Something, I think it's a little bit more extremely embarrassed, right? All right. Once you get that sentence down, Lance, will you go ahead and finish that nice little paragraph for us? Go ahead and turn your page.
I wouldn't even feel comfortable going up to a teacher after class and asking a question privately. Joe explains, I was shy and scared, and I just didn't like the way I spoke. It didn't help that some kids bullied and teased Joe about his stuttering. He fell behind in school, and he was often sad and anxious.
So why do you think that he would be sad and anxious?
Because he has no
Like
friends.
anxious, like he doesn't know what he's scared of something, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. But it's not happening yet.
Right. So it's kind of like the fear of the unknown is kind of how he's feeling. So why does he feel that way?
Because he can't talk right.
Yeah. So he feels like I don't speak like everybody else. So he kind of feels a little bit embarrassed, a little bit scared. I mean, I would. Would you guys feel that way as well?
Yeah.
A little bit? Like if you
Yeah.
didn't speak like everybody else, and you might fall behind in school because you ask your parents if you can stay home and you don't really go to school, things like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and continue, Lance.
Then when Joe was in 8th grade, his mom discovered a group called the Stuttering Association for the Young, SAY. SAY teaches kids who stutter how to sing, dance, and act. The goal is to build kids' confidence.
Do you think that Joe needs confidence?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot, right?
Yes, yeah.
Why do we think that?
Because he's always
Because he feels sad. and
Yeah,
anxious.
so he might need something that kind of makes him feel a little bit better about himself, right? Because right now he's kind of sad and anxious, and so maybe this program's going to help him not feel that way, right? Go ahead.
That summer, Joe went to the group summer camp. He got to meet a lot of kids who stutter. He also met many successful adults who have not let stuttering hold them back. Suddenly, Joe felt much less alone. It changed my life, he says.
Very good. Kylie, will you read the next one? In New Confidence.
Joe goes to SAY programs every week. He's performed in many plays and concerts. He even goes to sing on TV. A group of kids from SAY sang on the Meredith Fiera show. Working with Say hasn't stopped Joe from stuttering. Instead, it has given him the self-assurance to make his voice heard anyways. I still have to try to get the words out, says Joe. But I realize that, you know what, it's okay. It's life. Sometimes people aren't patient listeners. They interrupt Joe or try to finish his sentences. Even if they mean well, it feels insulting. Thanks to Say, Joe now knows how to cope with such situations. He explains, I just say, excuse me, I have a stutter and would like to finish what I have to say.
Perfect. So what does cope mean?
Did it say like cooperate? Is it like that?
Very close. It's more of when you're coping with something, you have to kind of deal with it. You have to handle it. So yeah, so you have to kind of, so when he's coping with it, it just means that he's learning how to use his stutter, how to make it better, or what he can do to stop stuttering. And one of the ways that he was saying is he tells people ahead of time, I have a stutter, give me a chance to kind of get out what I need to say, right? So what does cope mean?
Handle his situation.
Yeah, very good. All right, Jenny Lee, will you read the last one? A Bright Future?
Joe used to think his stutter would make it possible for him to go to college. Now he looks forward to graduating and
Pursuing. Very good.
a
Career.
career as a police officer. He also plans to become a counselor at Camp Say so that he can help younger kids who
Stutter, yeah.
stutter.
It's okay.
Says Joe, I hope that I can be the friend that I wanted and that I have now.
Okay, so what can we take away from this passage that we just read,
What
the
do you
little
mean?
article? So what can you take away from this? Like, how is this going to change the way that maybe you think?
It's possible to go to college.
I'm sorry?
Right now, man.
What do you think, what's the purpose of reading this?
To like, if you started, like to get more confidence.
Yeah, so maybe we can take away from this that if we maybe meet people who have a stutter, we can maybe give them a little bit of patience and a little bit of extra time, right? Just like they did with, that's what Joe kind of asked people to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. You can stop it.